We are back again.
Welcome to Rage Against the Regime at Blog Talk Radio. To call in, dial 929-477-3565. That's 929-477-3565. I was born in the land of the free, in the home of the brave. I'll bleed American blood until the end of my days. The red, white, and blue, these colors never fade. Rage against the regime.
Well, I'm back. It's been a whole 7 days, and a lot's changed. Got Donald Trump coming out talking about the border issues and illegal immigrants coming across the border, and it reminds me of why I'm here right now. It's because of Massey and Camp Lone Star down in Brownsville, Texas. If you're not familiar with what that is, look up KC Nunya on YouTube. That's KCNONEYA or KCNONEYA. Yeah, KC Nunya. And there you'll see videos of what they did at Camp Lone Star and how they stopped on that little 3-mile stretch. Now, granted, it was the major trafficking area, that little 3-mile stretch was, for the Brownsville area, for illegals to come across. And, there was a place down there that we called the Rocks, and there was another sanctuary right there. And the Border Patrol would set up there in the by the sanctuary, and man, they just come on across. Never slowed down. 26-foot high fence out in the back that on this levee that was about a mile. Oh, not a mile. Maybe a quarter of a mile from the river. And this levee system that they built down there spent uku boodle of bucks to do, and it wound up taking the illegals right at 26 seconds to get up and over the fence. They wouldn't let them put barbed wire on it because they didn't want anybody to get hurt because they were on American soil, and if they put the barbed wire there, they could be sued if the guy got hurt. How is that friggin' possible? Well, let me tell you something. One of the gals climbed the fence, got her ankle hung in the top of it, flipped over backwards, came down on Rusty Massey's side of the property, which, yeah, the border fence did split landowners' properties between the river and the roads. Not the river road. That was the little dirt track that everybody, went down that ran beside the river where it was possible. Other than that, it was jungle beside the river. And these guys had taken, the coyotes would cut these trails up through the brush and stuff. And if you've ever been hunting, you've seen a deer trail or a rabbit track or anything like that, you can see the trails. And being on patrol down there, you would see these trails. And what they would do if you were patrolling in one direction, and that they would have the access point on these trails, and that's where you couldn't see them, because if you're going north, the entrance to it would be facing south, and whenever you go by, you'd never even see it unless you turned around right there where you were at and happened to look over your shoulder and seen it, or you were coming back up the other way and there's something else coming when you were southbound was blocking your point of view and that. But KC and those guys down there, and Bandana and Will and all them folks that were there and set up the procedures and that, they stopped it on that 3-mile stretch. No, they didn't like it. They didn't like it. And it wasn't, we'll go to the motel and that, and then we'll come back in a couple 3 hours or something like that, and then we'll make a patrol. Those guys actually lived on the border, right there on Rusty Massey's property, and that 22.5 acres that butted right up and had probably one of the longest pieces of riverfront access there in Old Rusty. They before Camp Lone Star got down there, they would take that old boy and they would run in on his property. They killed his dogs. He had to kill an illegal when he was under the age of 10 that was coming into the house on him. They're at the ranch, and that's how his life started out. Was with having to deal with illegals on a lethal basis, because if you didn't, they were going to lethally kill you. Not all of them are that way. Some of them were coming across just to find a better life and a better job, but hey, it doesn't work that way. You come in here illegally, you're illegal. You've not broken a state. Well, you've broken a state law, Texas law. It's not allowed for you to go across that border either without going through a proper border check station. A port of entry is what they call it legally, or that's the nomenclature that they use. So anyway, I'm glad to see that Mr. Trump has taken up the cause of the border, and that there are so many families right now hurting because people like Massey and Bandana and the rest of the guys down there. There's some guys here in Texas. I'm not going to mention their names because most of these guys still have a bounty on their head from the cartels. And KC was down there. I think his is up to $200,000 or something. Rich, he had one on him. Most everybody down there did. And they would use they would get their intel on who was there because of the reporters the Mexican reporters that they would send over there. And they would tell them, no, you can't videotape in the camp. You can't videotape in the camp. They would actually set up across the road and use telephoto zoom lenses. I mean, these big honking dogs like you see them use at the college football games, pro games, and that kind of stuff. And they would zoom in on the camp just to see if they could get pictures or videotape of the guys that were there at the camp. And from there, that they would go and post it on their Facebook pages and on their CDG Cartel de Golfo pages and start rapping on the white boys. Well, it didn't make them any difference because they stayed there and they shut down that foot traffic coming through there to such an extent that the sheriff's department came out one afternoon and told those guys there that we don't know what you're doing or how you're doing it, but you have literally dropped the crime rate in this area by 80%. 80%. Well, let's get back to Mr. Trump. I'm hoping he's not going to turn out to be like Ross Perot. I'm hoping he's not going to come out and and do all this and say all the right things and everything else, and then split the vote so bad between the other guy running and the Democrats that the Democrats actually win. So we've got a spoiler alert on Mr. Perot. I don't think that he would do something like that intentionally. I'm sure Mr. Perot didn't do that intentionally, but that was the effect that it had. I don't know. What do you think? If you want to give me a call, the number is 929-477-3565. And I'm going to try a new feature tonight. I'm going to see if I can reach out and call somebody here a little bit later. But right now, let's just hear a little Slick Fist. I don't think I'm broadcasting. I don't think anybody's hearing me. How strange. Hey, if you can hear my voice, give me a call. 929-477-3565. That's 929-477-3565. Well, it's a working. I just checked it on my phone. I can hear me. If I can hear me, you can hear me. I just don't understand why my little podcast over here ain't running. Let's try this again. Uh-oh. Well, there you go. You just have to turn the right button. Push the right thing and watch it go. Back to Mr. Trump. Geez, I know he's hot about this. Now he's got one of the cartel guys on his butt. Big time. You know, and it's not just that one guy. It's not just Champa. It's the organization that he has behind him. Cartel de Golfo, they have MS-13 all throughout the United States. All throughout the United States. They do their bidding on this side of the border, plus a bunch of other subclubs that we won't even go into because, hey, why should I pull their whole card? Because all they're going to do is come and shoot at me. Oh, I forgot. I don't care. Well, I do care. We all need to care because that's what they're here to do. Enforce their will upon us and make us knuckle under. That's exactly what they've done down on the border. They come up and they tell somebody that, you know, that they want to go through their land or something like that, and they tell them, you know, silver or lead. I don't know what the phrase is in Spanish, but that's what it is, silver or lead. You want to get paid in silver or lead. Yeah, those guys down there at Camp Lone Star, when they started that thing, they got with Rusty and they set up the SOP down there, the standard operating procedures and that. They were working with Border Patrol. They were working hand in hand. And I want you to hear something. I'm going to play this for you again. I don't know if you heard it last week, but if you didn't, I'm going to play it for you this week. This is Massey talking to the Border Patrol about the SOP that they had before the shooting. Yeah, Border Patrol shot at the guys at Camp Lone Star, knowing who they were and everything like that. And actually, while they were backing them up on a chase there at the river. It was really dastardly. Old John, he got shot at by the Border Patrol. And that really screwed up his life. Right now, KC's sitting down in a county jail down there because of the shooting. They're trying to try him on a felon in possession charge that doesn't even apply to him. Here's KC with a little talk with Border Patrol after getting jammed up out in a field.
It's all right, Ashley.
Ashley, they're okay.
Yes, sir. You want to talk to me, sir?
Yeah, I just want to talk to you. Okay. What is the whole purpose of, trying to flood us like that? I mean, is it an intimidation method? I mean, because we've never given you any reason or any provocation to try to come at us like that. and I'm offended that y'all did me that way. I've never disrespected you or any Border Patrol officer. Every time I've talked to you, it's been with the utmost respect. You guys disrespected us by trying to swarm us like that. All you had to do is come talk to me, and talk to me like a man, like we're talking right now.
I attempted to, sir.
No, you attempted after y'all swatted or flooded us.
I was behind you. I honked my horn.
I can't hear that on the mule.
Okay,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. I
was trying to pull you over.
Okay, I didn't hear you.
To get you directed this way.
Okay,
now,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
The point I'm making, listen, again, agree or disagree is irrelevant, to be honest, from my position. All I'm trying to do is our job best we can.
I understand, and
okay?
I want you to.
I understand that you do. I really do. But in this instance, especially at night, you know.
But you guys know it's us.
No. Hey, hold on. I've been doing this for 12 years now, and there's been times when guys are coming up here armed from the Mike's house, Mexico. It's occurred before.
But in a vehicle like mine.
No, maybe not. Maybe not that.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
You knew it was us, so there was no need.
I just told, what I was explaining is that you lit up our agents on the field. You're giving up positions, and you disagreed with that, but I'm telling you from my experience and from the agent in the field that occurred. So,
if you would have brought that to my attention and you could have talked to me, the other, I don't remember who it was, he pulled up beside me, the other guy that, he had wasn't it Booney, the guy with the Booney hat that pulled up beside me?
Yeah, that was in the ground that got lit up.
Okay, he pulled up beside me and I stopped. He pulled up beside, stopped, we talked for a minute, and then I pulled off.
Right.
And I figured if that's what I didn't think you were going to pull me over again, but if you would have, that's what I would have assumed you would have done, is got back up beside me again, and then we could have communicated.
Well, up until now, that property owner gave you permission to be there, by all means. You know, I don't know who you spoke to, what owner that is. I know you got Taylor's, you got the gentleman at George Signs.
We got several properties.
Okay.
And I'm
so
not.
We need that information just so we know.
No, we don't. And I'm not trying to look. I understand you have a job to do.
Right.
We have a job to do. Our jobs are intertwined.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
We have. I mean, you guys shot at us, and we still haven't freaked out on y'all. Right. We still haven't given y'all any problems. We still showed you the utmost respect. But the way you did me today in the field was very.
I just explained to you. I was trying to get your attention and talk to you about it.
I understand.
Okay.
But did it take 6 agents to pull me over?
Well, I didn't know where you were going, to be honest. I thought you were circling around like, hey, stop this guy so I can have a word with him. That was the whole intention.
Well,
so it's not. I'm not trying to
something or something. I mean, I really didn't hear you.
The intention is not to disrespect anybody. To be honest, I'm not here for that. I'm here to do my job. That's it.
I know, and
okay?
I appreciate it.
I'm here to make sure our agents are safe and anybody we encounter is safe. Okay, that's
I agree,
also,
and that's
we all want to go home
at
night. That's
Absolutely.
The whole intention, right?
I want to go home someday.
Exactly.
Too.
Everybody does. That's the whole.
You know, I've been out here doing this 3 months, man.
Yeah, I know you have.
So, I mean, I left my whole family. I own an electrical contracting company. I left everything to come down here to do this. And it's not because I want to.
Right.
It's because we have to. Because your higher-ups don't allow y'all to do what we do.
Right.
And so that's why we're here.
Right.
And like I said, I have never disrespected not one of your officers.
No.
At any time.
And I'll be honest with you, I've had words with you
you
before, and it was utmost respect. I can vouch for that.
Okay.
Okay.
Am I being respectful to you now?
Yes.
And I requested that you
stand
come
up.
talk to me.
I know. I totally respect that too.
Okay.
I want you to understand that's not about that. I'm not trying to, in any way disrespect you. That's not the point. I just want to make sure everybody's safe, especially at night, man.
I do too. And that's why we drive lit up, or else if we go dark, we got our strobes, and we already communicated that with your higher-ups, the majors and all that. And, we've had everybody here. All your higher-ups have been here.
Okay.
And so we've communicated. We came up with, I don't know if they didn't pass it along to you, but there's certain things that we don't do. Number one is we don't go in the brush, period, end of story. We still don't do that to this day. We stay between the river road and the river.
Okay, good.
We never go into the brush.
Great to know.
Well, absolutely. We're not going to do it.
Good.
Because that was an agreement that your majors wanted us to come to. Because of the officer safety issue.
Right.
If we encounter one of y'all in the brush, you encounter us, so we don't have another shooting like we did over here.
Sure.
But over here, what was fucked up about that was Captain Cantu and another BP had just been running with the guy that got shot at. That guy came out of the woods out of nowhere and started shooting. But we were just side by side with y'all, and we did have permission to be there. And we also consulted with the Border Patrol agent that was there and asked him if he needed help.
Yeah.
He requested assistance. Then y'all shot at us.
The agent requested assistance?
Yes, he did.
Okay. Well, I wasn't there.
I understand, and that's water under the bridge.
Right.
We tried to say, hey, forget about it, because
Right.
we didn't even want nobody to get in trouble over it. We didn't want any issue between you guys. We're all on the same team. We're here to keep America safe, and that's what we care about.
Right.
I don't want any trouble with you guys. I didn't come down here to cause trouble.
Right. No, I understand. I completely do. But don't expect or don't assume that disrespect, because that's not the intention. All right.
Well, I mean, it just kind of
I'm
felt
a stand-up
like,
guy. I'm going to tell you man to man, just like we are having this conversation here.
We can converse at any time. You don't need. Now I understand you having one backup, but see, it's kind of getting.
Well,
it's kind of like intimidation here.
No, I'm not trying to intimidate anybody. Well, come on, we're having a conversation.
I'm the nicest guy in the patrol.
I'm the nicest guy on the patrol.
Oh, don't let him lie. I'm the nicest guy on the patrol.
But we're not here to intimidate. We're having a conversation.
I know.
But there's three guys. We're not here to have.
Yeah, but there was two when you walked up with three.
When?
A while ago, y'all walked up. He just walked up from over there.
He's been there the whole time.
Were you over here the whole time?
I snuck. I'm like a ninja.
I didn't even know he was sitting here. I thought it was just me.
Listen, I'm just trying to get an understanding of and everybody be safe. That's the whole intention here.
Yeah,
okay?
Absolutely.
So don't
I want y'all safe, and I want us safe.
Don't misinterpret anything else other than that. It's officer safety and civilian safety. Period. That's the whole point.
I fully understand, and I fully agree.
So no disrespect directed at you guys and the exposure you guys are bringing to this problem we obviously have.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're trying to bring it.
But understand that we just want everybody to go home at the end of the day. That's the whole intention.
I was at the shooting. Mm-hmm. Did I shoot anybody? I was armed. Did I shoot one of you guys?
No.
Okay. So I know how to handle a weapon, and even under fire, and when I hear gunfire, I don't freak out, okay? Right. I'm former military, too, like a lot of you guys. Mm-hmm. Thank God that the guy that got shot at wasn't a combat vet that just got home, because then we'd all be in a whole different situation with each other.
Yeah, sure.
And you understand that.
No, obviously, yeah.
So, and like I said, if you have a question, if one of your other officers has a question, send you to come talk to me. We can talk. We don't have to argue. We don't have to fight. I know my rights. I know the law. I've got law enforcement all in my family. My son-in-law is a cop. My uncle's a cop. Mm-hmm. All my good friends are cops. Right. I got a buddy that's in DPS intelligence that's been down here working. So I'm very, very, very well versed in the law. Mm-hmm. I understand the law. I understand officer safety. Because like I said, my son-in-law and my uncle are cops. My friends are cops. My cousin's a cop.
Right.
So I don't want anything to happen to you guys. We back you up. We support you.
Right.
And the last thing that we want is a confrontation or a situation.
Right.
But like I said, I mean, you wouldn't feel right if we swarmed around one of your vehicles.
No,
you know what I mean?
I just expected the intention.
Well, I mean,
it wasn't intended to be that. It was intended to have a conversation with you and get you stopped.
And I could converse, and that's fine. Maybe another officer, but I look back, man, and I got 6 guys staring at me. I mean, that's an intimidating factor, and I'm out here in the dark.
These guys don't know. The intention is not to intimidate.
I understand, but can you put yourself in my position?
I can.
Okay.
So I'm just trying to explain to you that was not the intent.
Okay.
Right?
Well, that's the way it came across. That's why I wanted to talk to you, so that hopefully, if there's another situation, you can come talk to me and we can converse. If you need to bring another officer, I understand, but I don't need or want to be jammed up like that again, because it's unfair to me. It's unfair to the guys that are with us. We pose you no harm. We pose you no threat. So therefore, it is intimidation, and it's unneeded. We're men. We can communicate as men, and that's what I would rather do, because that situation right there had me really nervous.
Okay, well, hear me out here. In the future, especially if we're going to go past what we understood the areas you're going to be at, Massey's, Taylor's, and obviously you got other landowners' approval, right? Yeah. At least let us know. If somebody you see here, hey man, we're going to be down on the field road because we may have agents on the ground.
Okay, and
so that would go a long way.
Somebody down there, I will stay out of the way. If you guys, if I know you're there, I'll leave you alone,
I'm
man.
sure you would.
Yeah,
That's what
I'm not
saying.
trying
so
to
it was
cause
just a
y'all no
misunderstanding.
yeah, exactly.
My point is, though, if we're aware of it, at least we'll know. That way, you know what? Hey, you guys are going to be covering
communicate with us, man. That's all I'm asking, is that you communicate. I'll communicate with
Likewise,
the reason why we
exactly.
quit,
I totally agree with that.
here's the reason why we quit pulling up and talking to y'all, is because some of the agents, when we'd pull up and try to talk, they were getting shitty. And from my understanding, because I know some other Border Patrol agents, not in this area, but it's my understanding that it has been a directive to you guys not to interact with us.
No. I mean, that's not entirely true. Look, officer safety at all times. So we're going to interact and we're going to have a conversation.
I want to be able to communicate.
Right?
I do.
So that's the whole point.
That's what I want to do. But I don't want to piss you guys off either, and I don't want one of y'all to get in trouble because let's just hypothetical. I'm talking to this guy right here, okay? I'm pulled up talking to him, and we're just bullshitting or whatever, and maybe you're cool, but what if another captain comes by, and he's like, hey, why the fuck are you sitting there talking to him? Well, they're going to jump his ass. They're not going to jump mine because I don't work for Border Patrol. I don't want him in trouble.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
So that's why we don't try to pull up and talk. We used to do that.
Right.
But after we've heard that y'all can't really communicate with us, you know, there's a directive against it is what we were told.
Right.
So to stop y'all from getting in trouble and to avoid problems is why we haven't been trying to pull up and talk. It's not that we don't want to. We want to tell you everything we're doing so that we're all on the same page. We don't want a problem.
I hear you, man. Look, listen, again, it was just simply misunderstood, right? I didn't know.
I understand.
Okay, so now that we've cleared that up,
okay,
for the future, especially, you know, at night hours, if you guys are going to go down there, if you see, you usually have some guys right here in this area. This is a hot area, y'all know.
We
area
got a whole bunch of them right here at the fence.
Simply pull up to the agent and go, listen, man, we're going to be south of this area here on the field road, so at least the agents are aware. That's all I ask.
No problem. Hey, man, no problem. I'll be more than happy to do that. I just didn't want to get anybody in trouble.
No, they're not going to get in trouble.
Well, I mean, it depends on the supervisor.
No, they won't. I mean, if that's... Listen, I'm not going to give an agent a hard time for that.
You may not, but there is other ones that would.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I can't control everybody.
I know, but I don't want these guys getting in trouble either.
No,
you know what I mean? Y'all are here doing a job that I very much respect. You know what I mean? I'm doing the same job, or trying to, except I don't get paid and I don't have benefits.
Right.
As a matter of fact, I'm losing a lot of money. But I care about my country. I care about the terrorists coming in here. They had 10 in McAllen that they caught that were ISIS terrorists. It was in the paper, confirmed through Reuters News. So, I mean, it's a fact. They've had Liberians come through. That's where Ebola's coming through. There's a lot of reasons, and what we do is different than what you do. You guys let them come up, and then you arrest them, detain them, take them in. What we do is stop them from crossing, or we try to run them back when they're on the edge to stop them from getting up here. So you guys don't have to, number one, come in contact with a diseased person. Number two, you don't have to take a risk that one of these psycho fuckers, like the other day, it was 2 cartel guys. And as soon as we got them back in the river, they start CDG, you know, all that bullshit, fuck you, and, you know, I know you know. I know. You've been doing it 12 years, so I'm not telling you anything new. But, you know, there was a guy came up the top of the hill, had his face covered, head covered, you know. I mean, we know what time it is. We know what they are. I don't want you guys to have to deal with those scumbags either, and that's why we do what we do. We don't try to hold them for you. We try to keep them out of your hands so that you don't have to deal with them. I don't want you to get Ebola. I don't want you to get killed. I want you to go home to your family. You know what I mean? I want y'all to be healthy when you go home to your family. And all the bullshit that's coming across this border is dangerous for all of us. And that's all we care about, man. We are on the same team. We really are. I understand, you know, one of the things that, the biggest thing that I've heard from BP is, well, you guys aren't trained. Well, obviously our lack of training is working because what we do is turn them back. So it's not about, you're right, I'm not trained in civil rights. I'm not trained in detention or whatever, any of that stuff. That's why we don't detain. We push back. And, you know, we're not trying to step on y'all or get in y'all's way. The only time we detain them is if we catch them up here. Because, you know, I mean, really, you want me to try to run them all the way back? I don't think that's cool. I mean, even though I probably would want to.
Right.
if they've made it this far, we'll hold them for y'all. But other than that, if we catch them out there, we are going to try to push them back across the border.
Okay. Well, sir, good conversation.
Thank you. I appreciate
Yes, sir.
it, man. Like I said, I don't want any trouble. And like I said, if you have any questions, none of us are going to try to attack you guys. None of us are going to pose you any threats. You know, we're on the same team.
Okay, sir.
So if you come to us and you talk to us one-on-one, pull up beside us because, like I said, on that mule, it's a diesel.
Yeah. Well,
And the noise echoes underneath of it.
All right.
So I can't hear.
Fair enough. Understood.
But, I mean, if I'd have known you was trying to hit me,
I was trying to get you, hey, man. We talked
I
about
would have
it.
pulled over.
Well, that's the talk with BP. Pretty much the same SOP that they had before the shooting, before John got shot at. And it always worked well. And now you've got in the headlines, and people are actually paying attention because Mr. Trump has weighed into the situation, a man of great weight and gravity, and brought it to light and brought it to the forefront. And the major news services have to carry it. They have no other choice. He's talking about it. He's Donald Trump. And they're going to listen. A couple of places have told them to take a hike, Massey's and all that stuff. Well, Massey's is catching all kind of get out now for it because they're finding out that people don't want the illegals here. They're killing people. They're driving drunk. They're driving without driver's license, driving without insurance. You know? I mean, they pay taxes. They may be using somebody else's social security number and that, and but they can't even get the money that's taken out of their taxes back. They don't get a tax refund check at the end of the year. My ain't Pootie's hind foot. Those folks are using what's it called? EIN numbers. They'll go down, they'll get an EIN number. And with that EIN number, they can get driver's licenses, they can get insurance, they can get business licenses, they can get bank accounts. They can get anything they want with an EIN. An EIN takes you about 10 minutes on the phone, and that's it. When they go to get a driver's license, there's no check to see that that they have a birth certificate and that they are American. You're on your own honor. Are you an American citizen? Well, I'll see, man. I'm American. Okay, shut out with the little voices and that, but yeah, it's pretty sad. And those people at the DMVs, they have no choice but to accept them at face value because they've been told they can't ask. It's not in their purview. Well, I say if it's a state license, it is in their purview. Seems like old Joe Arpaio and over in Arizona, Sheriff Joe, he feels the same way. Arizona feels the same way. Texas feels the same way. It's just common sense. But they've done everything that they can to make it easy for them to come across, to get on our welfare systems, to have EBIT cards, Obama phones, medical benefits, everything. Well, they deserve it. They can't look how far they came. Look what they went through to get here. Look at the people that went through to get here legally went through. I don't care what river you swam or what desert you walked across. You didn't come legally. Oh, I don't have the money for that. Well, how much did you pay the coyotes? Oh, $3,000. Well, okay. Should have saved that $3,000 and put it up with another $2,000 and got you an immigration lawyer and got a permit, dude. But they're not doing that. And Mexico is not jailing them. They don't want them in Mexico. Hell, they're criminals. That's why they're letting them cross the border like that. And that's why they pay the cartels that. Why do they pay the cartels that? It's a crossing fee. It's like a highwayman's crossing fee to cross his bridge. And that's what they were doing at Lone Star, stopping them from crossing. That's what they can do on every inch of that border, just exactly what they did at Lone Star. It's boots on the ground, folks. It's people on the ground. It used to be that way down there. The Border Patrol was on the river. They would not let them come across. They would run them back across. As a matter of fact, up from Miss Taylor's place, there's a fence line. And on that fence line, you'll find a whole bunch of belts. And what these belts are, these are the belts that the old Border Patrol would take the illegals' belts and take their shoelaces and make them go back across the border, because it was kind of hard to go back into town with your with no belt on, your pants falling down, and your shoes falling off. And everybody knew that you had been caught and that you had been sent back. It was a warning to the rest of them. If you come across, you're going to get caught, sent back. We're going to take your belt and your shoelaces and your phony IDs and send you back to where you came from the same way you came. It needs to go back to that. It has to go back to that. They can't be allowed into the United States. They haven't done anything to deserve being put in our custody. Our custody is a luxury. It's 3 hots and a cot, medical, and when you get done there, they just turn you out into the street. No, ICE doesn't come pick you up. And if they get to a sanctuary city, this is sickening. There are laws on the books that state anybody that helps or aids and abets an illegal is committing a felony, a federal crime. And these sanctuary cities have thumbed their nose at that. And the administrations have let them thumb their nose at that. And have literally let millions into the United States illegally, provided them safe haven, safe harbor to do the things that they do. Not all of them are rapists, murderers, or thieves. But from what I saw and what I'm seeing, it seems like more than likely than not they are. There have been a lot of people killed by these illegal aliens coming in here. And just like you heard Casey Massey say a while ago on the tape, they had caught ISIS in McAllen, knew for a fact what they were, and they didn't tell anybody. They blacked it out. One of the Border Patrol agents that I came in contact with down there worked at one of the intake centers. And when they would get an OTM that's other than Mexican in, and they had a Middle Eastern or Somali or whatever, all of a sudden their records would just disappear and they would be whisked away by ICE and not heard about again. Well, they didn't go to Guantanamo. They didn't deport them. What did they do? I'm going to say they probably gave them passports and set them up in these places in Idaho, in New York, in Minnesota, in Maryland. They have been stocking up the country with terrorists. So when someone says that they're going to go after terrorists in America, there's two sides to that coin. Our side of the coin looks, well, they're going to go after the bad guys. And the other side of the coin is that they're going after patriots. And they're going after Christians. And they're going after, oh, that's another thing that gets me going. I just found out that they are not allowing Christians to come to the United States from the Middle East. They'll bring all the Muslims over here that you can get, but there have been none, zero, zip, nada, that I have found yet, of Christians coming in from over there. And you see what they're doing to the Christians over there. They're beheading them. They're burning them. They're putting them in a cage, lighting them on fire, burning them alive. They're taking babies, strapping them to a bomb, and exploding the bomb. You can't make this stuff up. Oh, looks like I got somebody on the board at 469. I'm going to pull you on. 469-964. You there? Or you just want to listen?
I'm here. How you doing?
Oh, not too bad. Who have I got there?
Name's Steve. Been listening to this show off and on for several months now. I'm usually at work when it's on, so I rarely contribute. I just listen. But
well, we appreciate you listening. If you just want to listen, you got something to say?
I really don't right now. Just came in the door. I'm checking headlines, getting caught up on news from the day. If anything big happened today, I'm not aware of it just yet. But outside of the king, King Barry gets to celebrate a win in the Iran deal since his people won rather than us. His people won those negotiations. So
yeah, ain't that ridiculous?
Yeah.
So Iran's going to get the bomb. He's already saying that, hey, they can be a nuclear power when that's the last thing them folks need. How can he be spiking the football stuff?
Yeah. They'll appease people over here for a little while by making, there'll be more oil for a little while. Gas prices will go down. Everybody will forget about it until all of a sudden, something glows in the dark. But,
well, that's a fact. I mean, oil prices right now is like at $60 a barrel and when Iran puts what they've got on the market, which they haven't been able to do because of the sanctions, that's going to drive oil prices down even farther. Saudis are going to go farther down the tube. He really he screwed the pooch on this one. He has really shot us dead in the rectum. King Obama.
And people that pay attention and understand, what's happened with this deal, even people that somewhat informed and want to be informed and sort of understand what's going on, as soon as gas prices are, $1.50 a gallon or something, they'll kind of forget about it.
Yeah,
be distracted.
They will. They'll go
that.
on. They'll go right back to their lives. Well, everything's fine.
Yeah.
Gas is $1.50 a gallon. A loaf of bread's back down to $2. A gallon of milk's back down to $1.65. Hey, life's great. Nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
Not a thing. Yeah.
And then
not a
as
thing.
they get closer to being ready to try to nuke Israel, then and of course Israel will attack them first. They'll have to, and then World War III. So
8 months ago, they said they were 6 months away from having a bomb. That's why they had to get the talks started and everything else, because they were so close to having it. And then the talks dragged on, some like 6 to 8 weeks longer. I think they've already got it. I think that they have slacked up on them so far that they've already got it.
Yeah.
I believe they've got it. And if they don't have it, they'll have it in the next 15, 20 minutes. It's not going to take long. We're going to do just like what you're talking about. We're going to go back to our lives. We're going to forget about this. And the next thing we're going to see is, like you said, something glowing.
Yeah.
And then everybody's going to go, well, why didn't Israel wipe them out? Well, Israel hating a bunch of bastards. Yeah. You didn't want to back Israel. You calling them a bunch of Zionist pigs and all this kind of stuff. What the hell, dude? You want your cake? Eat it too. You want Israel to go over and do that stuff? Well, you got King Obama doing what he's doing? Well, why don't you think about taking him out of office?
Likely Israel will strike first because they don't have any choice. They'll have to, but then the whole world will turn on them.
Well, then that gets right back to Revelations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
we're seeing a lot of stuff right now.
Pieces have been falling
all that
in place
means
like a chessboard.
Yeah. I agree. Well, I'm going to go on about this. I'm going to pull up something, and I'm going to see just exactly how many people have been hurt by illegal aliens. You have to bear with me. I type with my toenails, so I can't talk and type at the same time. It's kind of like walking and chewing bubble gum. Yeah. Not real good at that multitasking thing, dude. Oh, yeah. Well, let's see. Yada, yada, yada. Let's see. And it gets back down to what Massey and those guys were doing down there at Camp Lone Star. There in Brownsville. They had a 3.5-mile stretch, and that's what they did, was turn back illegals. They didn't take them into custody. They tried not to take them into custody. They tried to be right there on the river when they were coming across and run them right back to where they came from. And if you go to that website, KC Nunya on YouTube, it's KCNONEYA on YouTube. You can see the videos of what those guys did down there and the kind of terrain and stuff that they did, that they had to deal with while they were there. Not to mention the heat, the mosquitoes, the bugs, and everything else. And those guys, they were basically living in tents in 105-degree, 80-90% humidity, and still doing those patrols every 2 hours. And they would have 3-4-man patrols going out at the same time in different places. And those guys, the coyotes down there, they didn't know where they were coming or going, and that's why it shut it down in that very, very high traffic area that they were able to secure from Rusty Monsi's down there. And it's just incredible that if they had been allowed to do that from the Gulf all the way up to Brownsville, they would have shut down probably. Well, it wouldn't have shut it down. What it would have done was the same thing that it did there at Lone Star. It pushed it out away from there, and it had to go somewhere else. So when Lone Star was thumping and they were kicking butt and pushing people back across the river, McAllen lit up big time, and other places there, other than that 3.5 miles on that river, they saw an increase of traffic, and it was much harder to get from point A to point B than where Lone Star was. And it just befuddles me why they would go and take a project that was okay. It was a pilot project. They never thought they would shut the whole thing down. It was just an example to show the American people that John Q. Citizen can go and defend their borders, that they have a right to defend their borders when the federal government isn't doing it and when the state government isn't doing it. And that's what the situation was there at the time. Nobody was doing it except them. And when they got down there, the Border Patrol had, I think it was like $40, or no, it was 40 gallons of gas that they could burn between their 4 vehicles in that patrol area in a shift, in a 12-hour shift. And once Lone Star got to thumping, they actually got to seeing the Border Patrol agents down at the stripes down there, putting their own money in the vehicles, in the Border Patrol vehicles, so they would have the fuel to be able to go and run with those guys on that 3.5 miles and push them back, because they weren't taking them into custody either then. They were just pushing them back. They were, hey, man, we got a group over here. Let's get them back across the river, and they go do it. That's how the shooting happened down there at Sable Palms. Sable Palms was a bird sanctuary, and there was some of it was public, some of it was private. And Camp Lone Star, the guys at Lone Star, Casey Massey et al., went over and spoke to the people that actually owned the property there, and they gave them written permission to be there for that purpose, to defend the property and to keep the illegals from coming through there. And that's where most of the major drugs were coming through. Everybody in the area that lived in the area knew that Sable Palms was where all the dope went through. All the people came through up there by Massey's and the dope was going through down there. What wasn't coming in right there at the Gulf and coming up the beach and coming back in that way. But a large percentage of it was coming in right there at Sable Palms. And when they got the permission to do that, and they started in there at Sable Palms, the first day at Sable Palms, they got the written permission. They're headed out to Sable Palms. They get there. They got a 3-man team there. Jesus is there. Massey's there. And Wolf's there. And they get out. They're on the mule. They're in the process of starting to get their sit reps in on what's going to be happening there. And there's Border Patrol in the middle of a hunt. Border Patrol agent says, "Hey, man, can you give me a hand?" "Yep, no problem." So they're running illegals back to the woods, and so, well, you heard it on the tape a while ago, and that how Casey's own words, and the shooting. Why would anybody want to take a project that was actually spreading out and gaining ground and doing good and shoot it literally in the foot and stop it? Why would they do that? Why would you stop that? In all good conscience, those men were trained enough not to shoot each other or anybody else. They were ex-military, and the ones that weren't ex-military got trained up on what their positions were around the camp. Some of the people didn't belong in the field. They were cooks. There were people that cleaned up the camp. There were people that worked on the machines. There were people that cleaned, that worked the armory, and that kept all the gear clean and functioning, and that it was a functioning situation with anywhere between 12 on the low side to 30 on the high side, and sometimes 40 patriots down there working that camp. And it was getting to the point to where people were coming in from all across the United States to take their rotations there at Camp Lone Star. They would come in, they would find out what the SOPs were, what the standard operating procedures were, what the rules of engagement were, and go from there. And that's all you needed to know. You're a man, you know what the deal is, you know the issue, you're already over 21 years old, you already have been through life, you already know how to tell somebody, no, you cannot come here. You know how to stand on a river bank and look down and tell them, no entrada, no entrance. You can't come here. You don't belong here. If you want to come here, you go back out and you go through the port of entry. Don't come across here. And it worked. It worked like, oh man, it was bitching. It was absolutely bitching. It functioned so well. And then they pull that stuff. Why would somebody do that? If I ever get to where I can ask somebody that's got any authority about it or anything like that, I'm going to ask them, why did you do that? Why on your watch did you do that? Why did you allow that to happen? Why did you shoot at John? Why did you stop that operation that was so successful? Who in your chain of command gave you that order? Because that's the same person that's responsible for these drunk illegals, these murdering illegals, these thieving illegals that are robbing, pillaging, and raping American citizens. Those are the people responsible for it. The people in these sanctuary cities, it ain't the church. We'll get back to the church in a minute, because the Catholic Church has a big cross to bear about this too. They literally went on TV down there on the local stations and asked for donations for bus tickets so they could put these illegals on buses and ship them into the heart of America.
Well, the Catholic Church did that. I may step on some toes here, but have huge issues with the Catholic Church, and it's socialist by nature. It's all about gathering all the riches at the top and just dole out a little bit here and there to the people, and so many Catholics place the word of the Pope above the word of God. If the Pope hands down an edict or something contrary to the Bible, they're going to follow what the Pope says. And
absolutely,
they're just as much about tearing us down as anybody else. Thank you.
Who changed the Sabbath? The Roman Catholic Church did. Changed it from Saturday to Sunday. What were we told in the Bible about who would be the one to do that? The Antichrist. I've been reading up on Revelations again and talking about the Catholic Church, and that it's always had me baffled. Beast with two heads, beast with two heads, beast with two heads. One gets wounded and then comes back, and then the other one's running the issue. We got two popes in Rome right now. One got sick and needed another one to take his place, and then he got better. We got two popes in Rome. I'm not saying they're, hey, I'm just reading the tea leaves, dude. I'm just sitting back going, oh, there's one and one and two. Well, we've had other ones that look like that too, but I haven't seen any other, world leaders get shot in the head and then come back from it, other than Reagan. But then you got Gabby Gifford. She got blown away.
I heard a theory one time, and I'm far from an end-time scholar or anything like that, but when it comes to one world religion, I've heard a theory that comes from basically a merging or a working together of the Catholic Church and the Muslims. That goes contrary to a lot of Catholics would believe or think or feel, but in the end, that again, it's just another point of view or another theory on how you arrive at one world religion is a working together with between the Catholic Church and the Muslims.
You just sparked something. I remember it not too long ago. It was either an imam went to the Vatican, or the Pope went to one of them dome churchy things at one of them mosques, and that.
Yeah.
And they're we can get along. Really? You can get along. That cotton picking Quran says if you ain't Muslim, you're an infidel, and we kill all infidels. If you're Christian, we kill you. That's what they're doing over there right now, those blessed children. They are killing them. They're cutting their friggin' heads off, dude.
Yep.
And these people want to say, oh, well, they're okay. They're just Muslims. Yeah, Muslim my foot. Read the Quran. Take a few. You don't have to read the whole thing. People have actually went down through it and pulled out where it says what it says. If you find yourself in a land and you're not and you are not in the majority, you can lie, cheat, steal, do whatever you need to do to get along, go along, multiply, reproduce, infiltrate, everything. It's all right. Mohammed's going to forgive that. That's fine, man. You can do anything you want to. They're infidels. They don't matter. They ain't worth the truth. They don't deserve the truth. They're not Muslim.
Yeah.
So when they're being taught that from the time that they're 6 years old, how in the hell do you deal with that? They're ruined.
Yeah, you can't really undo that kind of teaching when they've been,
No, there's a guy on Facebook by the name of Saad. What is Saad's last name? I can't remember it. But anyway, he came here to the United States. He was I think he was born in Iraq or something like that. Anyway, great guy. If you get a chance to see his stuff on YouTube, take a look at that, or on Facebook. He puts a lot of his stuff on Facebook. And he came over here. He escaped over there, came here, became a Christian, renounced Islam and everything else. Stand up, dude. Oh, he's an Arab. Well, yeah, but he's a Christian Arab. Just like they got Coptics. Okay. What's a Coptic? Well, a Coptic's a Christian. You know, it gets back to that. Anyway, I finally got this stuff looked up. An office study of 55,322 illegal aliens analysts discovered that they were arrested at least a total of 459,614 times, average about 8 arrests per illegal alien. 8 arrests per illegal alien. 70% had been between 2 and 10 arrests apiece. 70% had been arrested between 2 and 10 times. 26%, about 15,000, had 11 or more arrests. Drug or immigration offenses accounted for another 45% of all these offenses. And approximately 12%, over 6,600 illegal aliens, were arrested for violent offenses such as murder, robbery, assault, sexual-related crimes, rape. And they don't want to talk about it. If Donald Trump hadn't got the balls to say what he said about the illegal aliens and Mexico and how Mexico is doing the United States, Mexico ain't our friend. He's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. They look at the United States like a big basket, and it's got everything that they want in that basket, except they don't want to be American. They want to be Mexican. So we're the fruit basket. They come over here, they rob, they pillage, they plunder. They send all their money back over there to their families and stuff over there. They've got haciendas, they've got houses, they've got cars, trucks, vehicles, all that stuff. The money that goes back to Mexico annually is phenomenal. I'm going to look that up too here in a minute, but I'm going to keep on looking at this. An FBI crime study also shows heavy illegal alien involvement in criminal activity, and it's revealed in the statistics 75% of those on the most wanted criminal list in Los Angeles, Phoenix, Albuquerque are illegal aliens. 75% on the most wanted criminal list in L.A., Albuquerque, Phoenix are illegal aliens. 1/4 of all inmates in California detention centers are Mexican nationals, and are more than 40% of all inmates in Arizona and 48% in New Mexico. 48% of the population in a New Mexico jail, in the New Mexican jails, are illegals. 40% of all of them in Arizona. Yeah, it's ridiculous. 53% of all... What? You gotta be kidding me. Over 53% of all investigated burglaries reported in California, New Mexico, Nevada, Arizona, and Texas are perpetrated by illegal aliens. 53%. We shut down the border. We cut our crime in half in Texas. That's why Casey Massey and the rest of those guys were in Brownsville down there at Lone Star. We were sick of this in Texas. We are fed up with it, just as much as they are in Arizona and New Mexico and California. Guys came down from Michigan, Oregon. Talk about two ends of the country. There you go. Let's see. Where else were they from? Idaho. We had crews coming in from all over the Northeast in that. And you know how many Texans there were at Camp Lone Star? Take a wild friggin' guess at how many Texas concerned citizens or patriots or oath keepers were at Camp Lone Star on an active basis, permanent basis.
I wouldn't know.
2. Out of the whole friggin' state of Texas, 2 of them there. Casey, Massey, and myself. Oh, actually there was 3. John, the guy that the Border Patrol shot at, that's currently in the penitentiary for felon in possession of a firearm. He was the 3rd one. Wow.
And say again, what was the charge on that? What's he in?
Well, Casey's in there for felon in possession in the state. Now, when he was, 20, 18 or 19 or 20, something like that. Anyway, something like 30 years ago. He got in trouble. He copped a plea to receiving stolen property in that, and he didn't burglarize the place or anything else, but, apparently somebody had brought him a bunch of hot stuff, and he said, "Oh, cool, man, I'll take it." And he paid the price for it. He did the time. He did his stuff. And in the state of Texas, once you're away from your charge and off parole, off paper, and that for 5 years, and you haven't been a recidivist, in other words, you haven't been a repeat offender, and that, not your first offense or anything like that, but if you've kept your act together for 5 years, haven't been in trouble, you're not on paper, you're not on probation, you're not on parole, you're not sitting back on a domestic violence charge or something like that, you get your firearm privileges back. You can have them at the place where you live. So that's why it was very important for KC to get the permissions that he had to be on the properties that he had down there, because he lived on the border. Camp Lone Star kept a motel room in Brownsville so the guys could go in, get a shower, a real shower, and not just stand out there with a garden hose in the middle of a freezing night or day. And, the winter it got kind of chilly down there in the 60s and stuff. Sometimes it got down in the 40s, but with that moisture and humidity, it was cold. But they had the motel room, so guys could go there. They could do their laundry there when they weren't washing their own laundry at the camp in a 5-gallon bucket and hanging it out to dry. When they weren't out on patrol, they weren't fighting the mosquitoes and the bugs and the heat, the dehydration, and all that stuff. That's where they went. And Massey lived there at Lone Star. He had been on his round into the motel room and that was where he lived at that time. That's where he was spending the night. So he was completely legal to have that firearm that he had on him, because he was going from there to where he would be staying next. Not a problem. State of Texas, no problem. When he gets busted down there and they go to court and at the preliminary hearings down there, the judge asked the sheriff, he says, "Well, why haven't you got him on a charge?" The sheriff told him, well, he hadn't broken any Texas laws. Well, he's a felon in possession. Not in the state of Texas, he ain't. But the federal government to shut down Camp Lone Star. Now, mind you, Casey Massey, he owned the mule. He owned probably 80% of what was there in the armory. In that. And then the other guys that came in, they brought their equipment and their gear and all their weapons or ammo and all that kind of stuff. But Massey had spent upwards of $40,000 of his own personal money and his transportation and stuff down there to keep that camp operation going. And it was functioning so well that the federal government arrested him on a trumped-up charge in the 18 U.S.C. that comes under, what is the doggone word for that? It comes under commerce.
Trying to use some interstate commerce BS or something.
Exactly. You see, the only time that the federal government has any authority over a firearm, period, because Yahoo, the Second Amendment, is when it is in commerce. Think about commerce like a road. Commerce is a road. Oh, no, commerce isn't the road. Commerce is the bridge over a road. Okay? When you start on that bridge, in other words, when the firearm goes from the manufacturer and is shipped, transported, or however it gets to the retailer, that transportation going across state lines and stuff is commerce. It's people are making money off the transportation, the movement of that firearm. Once it gets to the bridge, the gun dealer, and the gun dealer sells it, that's commerce. Well, once that gun dealer sells that firearm, it's off the bridge and is no longer in commerce. That comes to the has-had argument that Massey's got right now with him, and that's the way the law is written, has and had. The way it's written is that's where the bridge stops. It isn't in perpetuity. Once that firearm is shipped and done and sold, the next guy that buys it, that's not commerce. So they've got K.C. Massey down there on a charge that doesn't even apply to him because he wasn't involved in commerce. He wasn't on a military post. He wasn't on federal property. And those are the only places that the federal government has jurisdiction for felon in possession of a firearm. And yet they want to tell people that, oh no, once you're a felon, you can never have a firearm again, which is incorrect.
Yeah, a lot of people believe that because they've heard it so much.
Yeah, well, they get you bullshitted. Everybody, oh damn, man, you had that problem way back when, and that you get caught with that, you're going to federal prison. You'll be a felon in possession. And just like the state of Texas, after 5 years, you ain't screwed up, you ain't jacked around, you ain't got a problem. But the federal government has been using that as a hammer on people to add time to their sentences, so they cop to it. They cop a plea to it. They cop a plea to another charge to keep from getting that firearm charge put on them, and that's where the belief that they actually had a leg to stand on, when in fact they don't. But anyway, the other part about Massey's situation down there is that a funny thing is called the Dick Act. Yeah, I know, it sounds a little crazy. But anyway, the Dick Act comes under militias. Militias are covered under the Dick Act, and the only person that is excluded from being a member of a militia, and that means carrying a firearm, is a person that is either a judge, a sheriff, or you work for the county, you work for some kind of, you either work for the federal government in some fashion, either you're a postman or something like that. But those are the only people that are excluded from serving in a militia under the Dick Act. And Massey wasn't down there as an electrician. He wasn't down there as a roofer. He wasn't down there as a plumber. He wasn't down there as a common laborer. He wasn't down there doing anything except securing the federal border that we have with Mexico. It's not the federal border. It is an international border with international treaties entailed that we have with Mexico. He was down there defending the border of Texas, the sovereign border of Texas with Mexico from illegal invaders that were coming across our borders bringing rampant crime, rampant illness. And they wouldn't stop. They wouldn't stop. They were coming across in 10s and 20s and 30s and 50s in groups. And Massey and those guys at Lone Star were catching on to those groups at the river and sending them back. I witnessed it. I saw it. I was there. It was amazing what they did. 63% of cited drivers in Arizona have no license, no insurance, and no registration for the vehicle. Of that number, 97% are all illegal aliens. I'm going to run that by one more time. 63% of cited drivers in Arizona have no license. Okay. Out of that 63%, 97% are illegal aliens. 66% of that 97% of cited drivers in New Mexico have no licenses, no insurance, and no registration for the vehicle. Of that 66%, 98% of those are illegal aliens. So you got 97% of the 100%. Boy, this gets back into cutting things up like oil property. Base comes down to it.
Recently, didn't the Supreme Court actually say that that nobody's required to have a driver's license to drive? Didn't I read something about that last week?
I haven't seen that yet.
I saw.
Well, actually, no, it's not. That's back to commerce again, dude. Commerce and transportation. Yeah. The only reason that you have to have back to that stinky commerce thing again.
I'm not necessarily against the idea that I shouldn't have to be required to carry my papers for comrade so and so to want to see them. I don't know that
exactly.
I don't think we should have to have it, but they ruled that was a ruling. On some kind of case that the whole thing was meant to help the
one of your God-given rights is the freedom to travel, to motivate any way that you want to in any kind of locomotion, whether it be on a horse, trolley, or car. And you don't have to have a license for that. And yet, just like felon in possession, everybody's been told, well, you got to have a driver's license. Well, why are all these people getting tickets and just paying them? Because they've got these lives that they have to go back to so they can make the money, so they can pay the interest on that car that they were driving, so they can pay the note on their house, so they can feed their kids, so they can have the American dream. But they are working. They are working, and they will keep working. It is so important for Americans to have jobs. And I can't not take time off of my job to go fight this ticket and sit in jail while a cotton-picking judge figures out I know enough to know that I don't have to have a driver's license, and he cuts me loose. When you get a ticket, you are supposed to be taken to a magistrate straight away. They don't do that. You sign a promise to appear. When you sign that promise to appear, you're telling them, okay, I was a driver, and I wasn't just a traveler. I was making money going down the road in my car. I was in the act of commerce when I got the ticket. Some buck. Crap, I got to pay it. Because if I don't, I'm going to lose my job. If I lose my job, lose my house, lose my wife, lose my kids. I ain't giving up my kids. Screw that. I'll pay the damn ticket. And that's how they got us.
Well, yeah, and you
don't really need a driver's license. I'm sorry, say that again? I have my foot in my mouth.
I said every corner I go around to and from work and all that, and every place they sit with their radar guns and all that, that's all just fundraisers.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's just revenue. They ain't cops, man. They're revenuers.
They'll claim they don't have quotas, but yet, I see 3 times as many of them the last week of the month as I do the first 3 weeks,
You bet. You bet. Yeah. And I think they're trying to get a law passed to where they can stop taking people's property. This forfeiture thing it's totally against the Constitution. What is it, the 14th Amendment or something like that?
That's just armed robbery.
Yeah, that's what it is. The guy standing there with a gun giving you a ticket, you're going to sign it or you're going to jail. He's got a gun. I've
got a gun and I'm taking your stuff. How is that not, you ought to be able to defend yourself against that.
Yeah. Oh, you can't, man. That's just it. They try to keep it so large and so displaced that you have nowhere to strike back at. But what the thing is that they have stopped teaching us in schools what our rights are. They stopped teaching the Constitution. They've stopped teaching civics. They've stopped, and And they didn't just do that with this Common Core crap. They started this back in the 50s. They started lightening up on it in the 60s when we had the Vietnam conflict and everything else going on. And that there were laws on the books then to put flag burners in jail. I mean, it's illegal. The law is still on the books. It hadn't been evaporated or taken out or anything else. It's still there. But there were so many people doing it. You know, I mean, what are you going to do? Fill your jail up with $35 fines for, you know, some guy burning a flag? Well, there's so many of them do it. What the hell? They used that same principle in Washington State. When Washington State, thank you, Seattle, not to mention Seattle was the first ones that came out with this $15 minimum wage. Ha ha, sucker, you went for it. And they thought that they knew better in Seattle, and they made a law up there that you could not hand somebody your firearm to cross a fence if you were hunting. If you did, you were a felon. You couldn't have your wife bring your firearm out to your truck. It didn't belong to her. That made her a felon. If you gave your firearm to somebody else to hold for you, you became a felon. Well, Anthony Bosworth and the folks up there, they got together and they said, "Oh no, dude, we ain't holding for this." And they had a massive sale up there, gun sale. And these guys came in, and they're buying, they're selling guns, they're trading guns, they're handing each other guns, and they're videotaping each other and going, "Hey, dudes, look at the cops, man, wave at them. Yeah, we're all breaking the law. It ain't a law. It's unconstitutional. We ain't going for it." Anthony Bosworth stood up and told them, And there was enough people up there in Spokane to do that. There was enough people got together, Oregon, to do that. Oregon, just by the way, came out with they're trying to do a fun thing up there. Everybody's got all these economically fuel efficient cars now. Okay, so they're getting 14 to 30 miles to the gallon, which is nowhere near the 8 to 12 that we used to get. But the tax revenues were based on the 8 to 12 a gallon, and well, we've got so many more drivers on the road that it'll make up the slack. We've got so many more cars out on the road and everything else. It's going to make up the slack. We're in good shape. Well, it didn't turn out that way. They're spending more than they're bringing in. So now instead of you paying your tax on the fuel at the pump, they're putting an additional tax on the mileage that you drive on that tank of gas. How effed up in the world is that? What cockeyed, silly sumbitch came up with that stupid idea? A bean counter and a communist. That's who.
Yep.
A commie liberal Democrat came up with that. Speaking of Democrats, they want to start talking about the stars and bars. You know, they want to take down that rebel battle flag. Well, if you want to do that, and that's a symbol of racism, that's pretty much all the Democratic Party is the biggest symbol of racism there is. So I'm going to stop flying that flag just as soon as you take that Democratic Party, dismantle it, throw it in the trash, start calling it what it is, the Communist, Socialist, Marxist Party. Call a spade a spade. Step out of the shadows. Stand up for what you are. Stop trying to hide. Stop trying to take God's rainbow and turn it into something perverted. Stop taking a name and twisting it into something that you want. Stand up for what you are. Be man enough to hold up for your actions. If you want to be a commie liberal Marxist, stand up and be one. But don't try to tell me you're a Democrat. My grandfather was a Democrat. He was a Blue Dog Democrat. Big ass difference. There's a lot of Blue Dog Democrats that are going, bam, what have they done to my party? Now I got, oh, jeez. Now they're coming after my Bibles. Holy smokes. They've taken the King James Version and they've gone off into an NIV version. Well, it's a new, yeah. Okay. Well, the NIV ain't no different. I can guarantee you I had an aunt, and she was Pentecostal, and she swore by that NIV. Well, she didn't swear, but you know what I'm saying. Ain't her lean. I'm telling you. Jimmy Swaggart was her man. Let me tell you. Jimmy Swaggart got caught with them hookers. Woo, ain't her lean. She had a fit. How could he? How could he? How could he? Uncle Red, her husband, said, he's a man, honey. God told us not to put our faith in man. Man gonna do us dirt. God ain't gonna do us dirt. So here they go. They start changing the NIV around, and they've actually taken the Holy Ghost out of it. They've taken, let me pull up another piece of paper. They have taken so much out of the King James Version to make it socially acceptable to, I don't know, homosexuals, pedophiles. I don't know. Somebody needed it. Otherwise, they wouldn't be printing the damn thing. Let's see here. Wow. Let's see. 36. Okay, a guy that compiles what I'm going to read from right now, a very knowledgeable person. He's been fighting this fight for a long time. And I happen to believe in the cause. I don't believe that you should take anything out of the Bible. I don't think anything should be cut from it. I don't think anything should be added to it. Why? Because it tells me not to do that. The Bible tells me not to add to it. It tells me not to take away from it, or I will be cursed. And I have enough trouble as it is. I don't know about y'all, but I'm getting older. My back hurts like a son of a gun. I pray every morning when I get out of bed that I can get back in it a little later, and I don't find myself under the dirt. Acts 24:7, completely removed. It was also deleted from the Jehovah's Witness Bible. And here's what Acts 22 is. But the chief captain, Massey, came upon us, and with great violence took him away out of our hands. Who did they snatch up and take away out of their hands with great violence? Acts 24:7. Somebody that's real versed in the Bible will know exactly what that is. But they've cut it out of the NIV completely.
Sure.
Also, Acts 15:34. They removed it. And also out of the Jehovah's Witness Bible. I haven't ever cracked one of those, so I couldn't tell you. Notwithstanding, it pleased Silas to abide there still. Acts 15:34. Apparently, Silas was hanging out someplace, and everybody else split, and he decided to stay a while. But they deleted that completely out. I don't know why. Why would you take it out? Well, it's not important. It was important enough for it to be in. Why are you taking it out? Leave it the heck alone, doofus. Romans 16:24. Completely removed. And it was also removed from the Jehovah's Witness Bible. The grace of our Lord Jesus Christ be with you all. Amen. Holy smoking dogs. They took that out. The grace of our Lord Jesus Christ be with you all. Amen. Why would you delete that from a Bible? What could possibly motivate you to take that out of a Bible? Well, we saved on ink. Yeah, okay. Well, you take that, and the rest of them we saved on about 61 pages. I don't know how many pages they saved on. I'm just guessing 61, because they have cut a chunk out of the Bible. 1 John 5:7. For them that, for those, oh man, that one got smudged on my page. I feel bad, dude. Anybody out there got a Bible? 1 John 5:7. For those are those that testify. For those are three witness bearers. Jeez, how can they get away with this? And who owns the printing company for this now? Who owns the print for the NIV? Dang, you're going to be surprised when you look that one up. I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to let you look it up, and you're going to go,
You'll have to look that up.
That's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous.
Some of those changes, I knew that they had done some of that. I mean, I've heard about, taking out individual verses here and there. It sounds like it's a lot more widespread than, a lot more of it going on than what I had realized.
Well, I can tell you this. The NIV completely deletes over 64,000 words of the King James Version Bible. It's including words like mercy seat, Jehovah, Godhead. It removes meaningful, well-known Bible words like Calvary, Lucifer, New Testament, regeneration. Most of the modern Bible lineup are very close with the NIV. The New World Translation, the Bible of the Jehovah's Witnesses, printed by the same folks. And here's the thing, the Jehovah's Witness Bible predates the NIV. If you read the NIV, you can go to Acts 8:37, and it's going to read, as they traveled along the road, they came to some water, and the church said, look, here's water. Why shouldn't we be baptized? And here's what it says in the King James. And he ordered the chariot to stop. Then both Philip and the church went down into the water, and Philip baptized him. I'd say there's a difference.
I'm looking in my...
Anyway, it just goes on.
There's no 37.
They completely deleted it.
And this is an older, this is a 25-year-old copy here. It's not like that's a new thing. But no, it jumps from 36 to 38.
Yeah, that's what it's saying, man. Verse 37, clean, gone, vanished. That's a pretty powerful verse. It's just ridiculous what they've done. They've been at this a long time. The United States of America was founded on Christian beliefs. Our founding fathers said that if we don't have Christians, these documents ain't going to help nothing, because you have to have a basis to start with. You have to have basic building blocks of morality to begin with for these documents to work. And that basis is America. Christianity is the basis of America. It's our foundation. And when they take away from that, when they take away from our moral compass, we go any which way. Man will go any which way. If he ain't got a compass, maybe he don't care. He'll swing through any door, play with anything, and he can. But if he's raised with a moral compass, like most of us were, we have all heard about Jesus Christ. And we all know that it is our duty as disciples of Christ to spread the good news. What's the good news? He died on the cross for our sins. He repaired our relationship with our Heavenly Father. And when God looks down on us now, he doesn't see James, that filthy-ass sinner. He sees his son in whom he's well pleased. When I'm up and it's my time to be judged, I'm going to hang my head and I'm going to say, Dad, I'm sorry. All I can do is plead the blood of Christ. That's it. I got nothing else I can say. That's it. And for all the atheists out there that don't believe there is a God, man, you got a rude awakening coming up. And if I'm wrong, according to your version, I ain't got nothing to worry about anyway. You know, why worry? You know, there ain't but two things in life to worry about. Either you're sick or you're well. If you're well, you ain't got nothing to worry about. If you're sick, you still ain't got but two things to worry about. You're either going to get better or you're going to die. Well, you die, you ain't got nothing to worry about. Well, yeah, you do. But if you get well, you still got a chance. So anyway, you get well. You still ain't got nothing to worry about. But if you die, and when you die, you still only got two things in life to worry about in that afterlife. Either you're going to heaven or you're going to hell. If you go to heaven, brother, you ain't got nothing to worry about. But if you go to hell, you can be too busy shaking hands with all your friends to have time to worry, so why worry anyway? I'm going to heaven. I know where I'm going. I know there is an afterlife. I have had that near-death experience. Been dead. Had a nice conversation with a fellow. I think it was a fellow. Said, dude, let's go. I said, man, I can't go right now. He said, why can't you go right now? I said, my grandfather bought me that motorcycle, and if I die on that thing, it'll kill him. My grandfather and my grandmother raised me. I idolized my grandfather.
I was actually listening one night when you told that story. I remember that.
It's true.
Just, I don't know,
it's true. Yeah.
I remember
I don't like beating it.
Specifically talking about you didn't want to, that he got you a motorcycle and all. I remember that.
Yep. And I rode motorcycles ever since then. My back's been broken in 4 places, 5 different times. Transverse processes in L3 and L4, 4 of those are gone. 2 spinal cord damages, one in the lower lumbar at L3 and L4, and another one in the thoracic. No, it's just in the lower lumbar. It's just the 4 transverse processes and the busted vertebrae, and the thoracic L3 and L4 with a spinal cord damage, and then up in the cervical, up in my neck. Got another one up, got some more broken up there, and some more spinal cord damage. But God told me that there would be a lot of pain. I said, man, I can take the pain, but I cannot take my grandfather thinking that what he would think. And I know what he would think. I know him. He would beat himself silly about that. I couldn't have it. I was just a kid. I didn't know how long my life would be. I didn't know how long that ambulance ride would be from Columbus, Mississippi to Columbus, Mississippi. You know, it was 32 miles from Aliceville, Alabama to Columbus, Mississippi. I didn't know how long my life would be after that. I'm 55, okay? I never thought I would see 20. Never thought I would, and I'm 55. God had a plan for me. He has used me in ministries to go and talk to people that would not go to church. They would not talk to a preacher for any reason whatsoever. And he let me go and he let me talk to them. And he actually let me see a few of them be saved. A few of them find Jesus. And that was earth-shattering for me. Very earth-shattering. I thought I was done. Through my childhood coming up and stuff, through all those accidents and everything, I got an infection that fell and fell to a place where you don't want to have a swelling in that. And doctors told me that happened when I was 14, that because of that infection and stuff that I'd never have kids. I just kind of filed it away. I'm 14 years old. What do I care? I'm not going to have any kids. Well, as I got older, I got married, and I had never had protected sex in my life. Never, ever. Got married, and my wife was wondering, why can't we have kids? Why, honey, I told you, I can't have kids. Can't have kids. Well, things didn't work out with that one, and a few more down the road. You know, everybody's got their road agents. Everybody thinks they found their true love in that. Well, I got tired of all that kind of stuff. My grandmother called me on the phone. I was in Phoenix, Arizona, and she didn't sound right. She just didn't sound right. And I said, Grandma, what's the matter? She said, son, I need you to come home. I packed everything I had on my motorcycle, and I went back to Texas. I left the gal that I had been with for the past 5 years and everything else, and went to Texas. I went to go take care of my grandmother. My grandfather raised me. I'd walked through hell for them. I fought a circle of Saul for them, and they have done more than that for me. My grandmother called me, and I'm talking to her on the phone, and she sounds terrible. I come home. I had been hurt again in Phoenix. I was working as a plumber, as a pipe fitter, and I was working on a new school and had been up I was about halfway up a 20-foot ladder, was going up to sweat some 3-inch solid copper, and I had carpal tunnel in my hands so bad it was ridiculous at the time, and I couldn't feel the ladder in my grip, and I had to have a job, so I had to go to work. I had to climb the ladder. I had to sweat copper. I slipped. My grip let go. I fell 15 feet on top of a B-tank, and that's how I got the thoracic fractured. And I'm recovering from this and that. And I'm at home, and I call my grandmother to make myself feel better about the situation I'm in. And she said, I don't feel good. I need you home. I climbed my broke up butt on that motorcycle, and I went from Phoenix to Dallas in it was a little over 9.5 hours. The bike could run. And when I got home, I gathered her up, and we figured out what we were going to do. I got doctors back there and that. And so I'm kind of recovering from my back, and I'm taking care of her because I'm still in better shape than she is. I'm in a lot better shape. I said, there's a church up here on the corner. I think I'm going to start going to it. She looked at me all cockeyed, and she said, Jimmy, don't you play? I said, no, ma'am, I ain't playing. So I started the church. I sat in the back. Didn't want anybody to notice me or anything like that. I was just wanted to be in the back, but I needed to go to church. I knew I needed to go to church. I'd been called to go to church. I had it in my heart to go to church. Something was pulling me to go to church. I had to go to church. I had to come see my grandmother, and I had to go to church. Well, it wasn't too long before that church had taken me in, and that little church had made me feel like a person. I had been getting full on the Word and feeling better. One of the members in the church had a limousine service, and he said, James, I know you can't stand too long, I know, but can you drive? I said, yes, sir, I can drive. He said, won't you drive one of my limousines for me? I said, thank you. So I drove a limousine for that man for 6-8 months before cancer took him. It wasn't an easy thing with the cancer either. It was bone cancer, and it started in his jaw, and they took that, and they whittled on his throat a while, and they took another piece, and then they started on his feet, and they took them, and before too long, he was just laying in a bed. There wasn't much laying left of him. And I'd go visit him there at the hospice and that, and I'd pray, Lord, please take that man. He does not need this. God, please have mercy on him. And one morning I got a call from his wife that he had passed, and I didn't have a job anymore. That was okay. I was happy. I was happy because while I had been going to church and that it had been put on me to come into the ministry, while I was driving that limousine away from the church one afternoon, I heard a voice, and just as clear as you can hear mine right now, it says, "Come work for me." Oh, man. You're hearing voices. That's the same one that told you to go to church. All right, I'm listening. I'll go. So I went. And I told the pastor, I said, "Pastor, you're going to think it's a little strange." And he said, "You've been called, ain't you?" I said, "Yes, sir." I said, "Well, let's get started." It wasn't too long after that, like a while, I was doing a prison ministry for the church, and I was at Wednesday night services, and I was sitting in the back of that church, and I was real happy with myself because I didn't think there would be any way that I'd walk in and out of a county jail of my own volition. Not me. I'm not going to county jail for nothing. They'll keep me. This is just a game to get me up there so they can get me in there without having a problem. Well, Tarrant County Jail, boy, that's a heck of a jail. And I preached in that jail to them boys up there for a while, and I was blessed to be able to go there. And while I was in church, I met my wife, and I was sitting in my favorite place, third pew from the back, looking at the rest of the congregation up front. A lady walked down the aisle, and that same voice that come work for me said, "That's your wife." Okie dokie. My wife and I have been together now for 21 years. When we got married on October 1st, she well knew that I couldn't have kids. We had been dating for, 90 days. I don't get into specifics. She knows every date, first date, where we went on the date, what we had on the date, and I'm lucky. I am very, very lucky to remember it was Outback, and we had a bloomin' onion. And so we get married on October 1st. My birthday's on October 3rd anyway. So if everybody wants to get my information and do all kind of dastardly things with my credit, good luck. So about, I'm going to say 10 weeks, 12 weeks. We've got a house where she's the director for the daycare at the church there, and she's just fantastic with kids and everything else. She's got a boy and a girl. I figured, great, boy and a girl. I can't have kids, and God has given me kids. Wonderful kids, outstanding kids, sweetest kid you'd ever want to meet, sweetest kid you'd ever want to call your own. And then she got sick. And it wasn't all-time sick. It was just like, every morning about 9:30. And I'm going, well, I know she can't be pregnant because I can't have kids. That's a fact. It's a medical fact. Then she brought me that cotton-picking little disc that said, "You are a +1. You're kidding. Nope. Oh, man, who were you with before we got married? I wasn't with anybody. I ain't been with nobody, and how dare you? I'm lucky I lived after that statement. So I'm thinking, oh, man. What have I done? I've done stepped in it. I know that can't be my kid because I can't have kids. So I figured, okay, smart ass, tear yourself down and find out. Take the paper over to her, go, there you go, see, I can't have kids. Go down, yank the willy wanker, give him the old sample. Gal comes back and says, "You potent." I'm impotent. No, you potent. What am I supposed to be doing? No, dude, you're potent. You can make children. Oh, man. Did I have some crow to eat? It would be raw and with no ketchup. But like I said, we've been married for 21 years, so she forgave me. And because I was faithful to God and listened, He gave me increase that I could not imagine. And by becoming a father, one of the funny things that happen with that is you get real protective.
Yep.
And here I am, just coming off of knee replacement surgery. Find out that the guy that's down at the border that I've been typing on the keyboard to with Tayson Vance is his name's Massey. Well, it just so happens that one day he put a picture of his motorcycle up on Facebook. And oh man, that's the same guy that I used to run around with, not in the same clique and club and stuff, when I was preaching to the bikers. Son of a bitch. God's got another deal for me to do. Sure enough, go to the border. All right. God's got a plan for this country, and it doesn't include people running across that border, coming over here, and harming His people. We can all get along. That's not a problem. But you need to stop that illegal stuff. You need to come into this country legally, because it's just really not fair to all those that have spent all that time, effort, and endured that, for you just to come across and get everything handed to you. Oh, well, what you got against me, man? You know, you looking down your nose at me? No, we have rules. We have regulations. That's what this country is based on. Well, your president don't think so, dude. He's telling us, come on up. You know, you got sanctuary cities. You know, you're going to give us Obama cards and Obama phones. We're going to get Obamacare. That ain't America. Well, I think our time's done. And
Nope. Now you're breaking up, man. Still there? Come on. Nope. I don't know if you hear me or not. I can't hear you anymore. Hello? Oh, phone says I'm still connected, but I can't hear you.